Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sisters Interview on Wednesday, June 16th. I'm Rithkin from Montier, and my co-host is my sister Aishaksi, also from Montier. And tonight's guest is also from Montier and the Principality of the Summits, her ladyship, Tessina Felice John Filiazzi. Did I get that right? Yay! I love Italian. It's so beautiful. I am so happy that you agreed to do this because I am sort of an afar admirer of yours. Um, so
Same.
I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better. Anyway, you know how we start these, and so if you can tell us your SCA origin story, and you can cut out anything you don't want to tell us, that's all great.
So I am one of the few that I can actually say the first time I saw the SCA was when I think I was 8. I was at school and they came and did a demo. And I think I was one of the children in the story. They were like, there's 8 children, 9 of you die. And I'm like, how are there 9 of us that are dead? And yeah, I think I was the one that they assigned. I died because I got a paper cut. And then they hit each other with sticks, and then I went back to playing on the playground. I think Mortal Kombat was really cool, so we did the Mortal Kombat theme while they were fighting.
Where
And
was this?
what?
Where was this?
This was Crescent City, California, the Shire of Woodhull Basek. I think it's Basek. Yeah, it's woods by the sea. It's in the northern marches. And so I saw them there, and then I didn't think about it again for 10 years, 11 years. And I, as a nerd, as all of us are really, I went to the local game shop, and because it's a tiny little town, so there's like nothing to do. And I went and I was painting miniatures for D&D, and this guy that I got in an argument about politics was behind me, and I was like, I think you're stupid. And I have opinions, and I always have. And so after I ripped into this dude I didn't know, I walk over and there's this helmet, and it's got this like horsetail, and I'm like, what kind of magic is this? And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I pick it up and I'm like, dude, whose is this? And then the guy that I just called an asshole stands up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a great start to a relationship. And I'm like, hi, I'm Geneva, this is cool, why do you have this? Are you? And of course I was like, are you a LARPer? And then I got the LARPers. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spit on your grandparents. I don't know why you're so mad. And so this guy, he was a fighter. He introduced me, and I went to a Shire Council meeting was my first. And oh boy, they have not changed in 12 years. They're exactly the same. The bigger the meeting, the longer and the more painful it is. But yeah, so I went to the meeting and I was like, this is so cool. And then they put me in armor, and it didn't fit, and it wasn't comfortable, and everyone was 20 years my senior, and that sucked. And then I watched them fight the boys, and I was like, why are you hitting them and you're never hitting me? You just hit me in the helmet. And I got really uppity, and I was like, I'm a big, strong woman, I could take this. And then I got my first rap. Double cheek. Wow, I got welt above and below. And again, young Geneva was like, hey, next practice, guys, look what happened to my butt. And then everyone gets to see my butt. And so I made friends. And so I this was my introduction to the SCA of a bunch of drunk Vikings. And it was magical, kind of, but it was magical, like lots of bruises and lots of me being like, isn't this cool? I hit people. Kind of with that voice. Except I think I was a ginger at the time. And I stuck with that for a couple years of fighting at local practice. And again, just literally 5 people at this practice. It's 4. Well, it was 2 nights, 2 that were about to become nights, and then me. And that's when I found out that half of them watched Glee, because that was really popular at the time, which I thought was great. And they like hid it from the other ones because machismo's a thing. And it was pretty great. And my teacher at the time got knighted in the West, and he made me his second squire. And I got a pink belt. More on that story later. But I have opinions
You
on
want
that.
a pink belt?
No, God, no. I was, so he said it was oxblood, and the male squires all got theirs repainted. They got theirs re-dyed to be red, and mine stayed pink because they thought it was cute. Because they're like, it's the girl. The girl should have that. And I was like, oh, cool. And at the time, I didn't think it was nearly as sexist as I do now. But current me, I'd be like, no, dude. But then I was like, whatever, it's to please you. I want you guys to like me. But yeah, so I did the fighting. That pittered out awkwardly. Now I'm gonna drink.
How long was it before you experienced the STA outside of those 5 people and outside of your small shire?
It was about a year. I actually started going up to the summits because my knight had deep ties to the summits. And I'm attempting to leave his name out of this, but whatever. People know if they know. And so we went up to War in the Trees and Glendoofin's some event, I don't even remember. And like Briarock Burl, we went to like really tiny little events down there. But to someone who only knew a Shire Council of 5-6 people, 8 people was like crazy. And then I was like, there's 22 people here. So I was really easily amused. And because I lived in super actual Northern California for my whole life, like I was 10 miles from Oregon. So coming up here, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like there are people and there are things, there's different clothes that isn't Viking. Did you know there's not Viking? A fact I did not know in the SCA. I also didn't know fencing was a thing until I moved on here. They talked about fencers and pirates in the same way, and I thought they were both like those people. And then I met them and I was like, oh, you're not like vagrants or whatever they made it sound like. It was very weird. Yay, biases. But no, yeah, I did a lot of very southern summits. And then I went to my first, it was a 12th night in the West. So they had the midnight court, the 8 a.m. court, the 8 a.m. court, like a 10 a.m. court, a noon court. Like it was like on Tier's 12 nights, except they broke theirs up more. So there was like way more pee breaks. So that's kind of cool. But it was intense and I was overwhelmed. And I'm like, there's like a bunch of people and I don't know them. And then that's where my friends got knighted. And I was like, cool, this is fun. I didn't know what was going on.
And nobody explained it to you?
So they did. Much like any cultural group, they were very insulated, and very insulated meant that they had very set ideas, and because they didn't cross-pollinate the same way, because much like everywhere else, you're like, I live here, why would I go all the way there? And like I hadn't seen a royal for like 2 years in the SCA because we were like 13 hours away from them. I met my first royal was actually a Summits princess, because I when I saw a bear and I didn't know what that was, I was like, hi person, you have like a thing on your head that means something, I know that, but past that, no idea. I bowed at everything for about 2 years till I realized you shouldn't do that. Or you do it and then you get friends because they think it's cute. Like I was told to call everyone Grace because no one's going to be mad if you go too high. Yeah.
I was told to call everyone Excellency, but
yeah, well, they said if you Excellency the wrong people, because in the West you couldn't, like when we were down south, you couldn't spit without hitting a Duke. At least where we were, there was just too many. So I was like, everyone was a Grace. And then I found out like what a principality was. That was pretty cool because I was like, that's a prince? Is he gonna be king? And they're like, no, he's prince. And I'm like, what does that mean? And yeah, it's a learning curve.
Yeah, it is. It can be a really steep learning curve if you don't have people around you that are fostering you and teaching you all that stuff really well.
Yeah. And if you've been in for, most of them have been in for 25 years. So like now when I'm chatelaning, I have to remember, I'm like, you're new. You don't know what these words mean. I'm going to use words you actually know. And it's a lot easier, but if you're too used to it, I just drop terms that don't mean anything to anyone else. So
It's an important reminder.
yeah.
Yeah. So did you continue fighting, or did you eventually stop fighting?
I was a fighter for, I think, well, on again, off again, I think like 6 years, but actively I was a fighter for about 3 years. I ended up moving to Ontario in early 2012. I was married in the West. I met a guy. I was very young. It was dumb. And then we got divorced. Who would have thought? And I moved up here, and which is fantastic because now I have a Luciano. So like I leveled up. But but no, I was a fighter, and I had a really strained relationship with my knight when I moved. And then the squiring process here is a little different than it is in the West, which is not something I realized. They were like, "What'd you have to do to become a squire?" I'm like, I asked someone who was a knight, "Is that not how it works?" And they're like, "No, what did you do to earn it?" And I was like, "I guess I didn't then." They're like, "Ooh, did you do it on your knees?" And I'm like, "I will punch you in the face." So that came up a lot of me having that response. I know they were kidding. And later, all of them now I've given the talk of like, "Hey, did you realize all of the microaggressions in your statement? Because that's problematic." I'm a social work major now. So I spend all of my time talking about like, "Hey, can we think about what we're doing?" But yeah, so no, I was a fighter, and then, I guess content warning. I was assaulted. It sucked, and my knight took the other person's side on it, for reasons that to this day I do not understand because he didn't know the person. And so even though I had moved to Ontario, I was still really close with my West family, but they took the knight's side, they took this other guy's side, and they were gone. And so without them and without that, and then fighting is really, it involves a lot of trust. Like you do need to trust the other person not to hurt you. Because we've all had that time where we're like, "Oh, that seemed fine." And then you get like, "Oh, hey, cool. That was not okay." And my trust in fighters had like diminished greatly. Because the people,
Of course it had.
yeah, yeah. And even though the person involved in the assault was a fencer, which everyone always assumes it's a heavy fighter, I'm like, bad person comes in every flavor, but the heavy fighting is where I lost the trust because of how my knight responded. And that was like literally years of calling me names, and writing about how I was bad things. It was a whole thing. It was bad. But in that time since then, I have fought a couple of people, and my problem is too is that the fighters that I really trust are people like Bane and Attias. And if you suck at fighting, you don't want to fight them because then it's not fun for them. It's not fun for you. But I'm like, I trust you not to hurt me, but I also think it's going to take 4 seconds for you to kill me, and that's you walking to me. So it's not even a fight. It's just my death and me getting to be like, "Cool, thanks, fighter hug."
I'm gonna pause you for just a second.
Totally.
And remind you that one of the biggest joys for knights, and I'm speaking for knights, and maybe I shouldn't, but I've seen it, especially in my husband, is teaching and fostering and watching when that something clicks and when somebody gets it. And so don't ever feel like you're taking up someone's time and you don't deserve to be trained and you don't deserve to be spent time on, because they get a lot out of it too. I don't know, Rifkin.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing, but you jumped in before me. But 100%.
Right.
I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes. But the good fighters, the ones that you want to fight, are always going to fight a little bit above you anyway, and they're going to find things to challenge themselves while they train you. So you're never a waste of time. Never, ever, ever a waste of time.
I know a lot of my opinions on fighting are because of the people who taught me it. So I'm aware of that this is all a me thing, because I have like fought Bane for my birthday at Sport of Kings. We have fought, and he was kind and fun, and like I got to poke him in the belly, and it wasn't actually during the fight that I did it, but still it was really fun. And I haven't gotten to that point inside of myself where I can put it on and be like, this is gonna be great, because usually I would like bounce and have fun, and I'd get a hit and I'd giggle because laughter was better than crying, because my pain response is either laughter or tears. So I'm like, laughter, because then they don't get uncomfortable. Because a crying woman, guys freak out sometimes. And you're like, no, it's not you, I'm just mad. And they're like, but you're crying. I'm like, yeah, but that's anger. This is anger at me on my face. It's nothing to do with you. You didn't hurt me, you made me mad. And go on.
I was just going to say, I want to encourage you, if you love fighting, and if you don't, that's fine. I would encourage you, as we get back into eventing and into doing things, to give it another chance, because I really do think that people are serious about changing the culture and understanding that women respond differently in different situations, and making it a much more equitable and comfortable and welcoming space for people of the non-majority gender.
Yeah.
So, and I would 100% help you in any way I could to reach whatever goals you have. So
I'm hoping by next Sport of Kings, I'll have my kit back together and I can go out there. But I know one of my things is that my chest piece was built directly off of my ex-knight's armor. I just changed it to fit boobs. And every time I put it on, like since then, Viscount Sir Turk. Yeah, he got knighted. I remember that. I made his knighting clothes. But he wore it when he won. I think he was wearing it. Yeah, one of the times he won Prince, he was wearing, because we traded chest pieces, because I'm actually shaped like Turk. Well, I'm a curvy Turk. Turk's just a tube of Turk.
I'm gonna say you are not shaped like Turk.
I'm not, but we have the same measurements technically. When I put on his tunics, if I take my bra off, we have the same chest.
Okay.
So yeah. This is just like my,
but
no, I think he would agree that we're not the same shape, but at least right here above the boobums we're the same, and so our armor fits. So when I put it on, I have to remember like it has Turk on it, and then I smell the Turk on it. It's kind of gross. So I desperately need to make a new one, because yeah.
Well, if it helps, we have at least one set of armor in our garage that has none of that juju happening with it. That you would be more than happy to take and refit. And my husband goes down to Eugene because that's where his parents live pretty regularly. So hit me up.
Okay. No,
we'll facilitate the heck out of that.
I would love to get back out there, partly because sometimes I watch my husband fight and I'm like, sweetie, why do you throw raps like that? And he's like, I don't know, I just do. And I'm like, I'd like to show you. And he's like, we'll get in your kit, and I will. And then I'm like, I don't wanna. So that's a interesting push and pull of like inside of me. I'm like, I want to be fighter chick, and then like, but then even thinking fighter chick has its own weird, like, I'm overthinking my own thought processes. Yay for introspection.
Well, and trauma is real, and I don't want to belittle that at all. And your journey is your journey, and much respect to wherever you need to be in that journey. Just know that if you decide to step towards that direction, you have support.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on.
Yes.
So what did you move up into Southern Summits, or did you move?
Yeah, I moved to Eugene, so I'm in Audiantum. And that's where I've been since 2012, so I'm nearly at a decade here.
And Eugene's is sort of the heart of the summits.
Yes, I mean, so I feel like saying yes is stepping in it somehow, but I mean, geographically we're a little north, but yeah, because we're the currently the most northern barony, although we will soon have Glendoofin. And I think that we're a vital part of the summits, but this, I don't know, I'm trying to get a politician on this, but I think there's, yes, we are central, if not, but we have a lot of valuable bits. We're just scattered.
Absolutely. And I just, what I meant by that is Eugene has been kind of where the summits was born out of.
Yeah, well, it was the first barony in the summit, but the summits I think was born out of some of the southern. I was very good friends with the first prince of the summit, so I've been told the stories of its birth many times.
Hey, will you tell them?
What? Oh, the stories of the beginning of the summits?
Yeah.
Well, they're not all my story to tell, but most of them started in like the Glendoofin area, actually. And it was, okay, this is a hard one because my knight is also the same guy I'm talking about. So these stories are very difficult for my brain to parse.
We can skip it.
Oh yeah. No, I think Barrick has better stories, I think, because Barrick was there too, and he has the flip side of all of these. Because Barrick was, I can tell this part, whatever. He was always the bad guy in the stories, which I think is hilarious, because when I met him, I'm like, oh, that's funny. Not that Barrick is the scary, I've seen him fight, but as a person, he is a lovable human, and I'm like, somebody needs therapy here, and I don't think it's Barrick. But no, the Southern Summits branches are really what held up the group for a very long time.
Okay, well, I am mistaken then. I apologize to summits. And I'm super excited about Glendoofin and how vibrant that community is right now. It's really exciting to watch. So
yeah, and it comes in ebbs and flows, and every group has their stronger moments, and then it's also because I think some Audion is just louder, like genuinely. I think we're just loud. Like, not to say we don't do amazing things, but we're very noticeable because, like, 12th night, like when you see Mary and Izzle do 12th night, and you're like, that's amazing. So we have things here, and like the 50 million years of Eggles. I'm running it next year if anyone wants to help.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's my 3rd year of it.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, I hope it actually happens.
Okay, so are the first 2 years the years that it's been online or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so bad for people like you that took on event stewarding of an event and have basically been in limbo for 2 years.
Yeah. Ontier West was worse because we started that because Nadej does heading it, but it's myself and Rufus. I don't know, Rufus. He's great. He has a lot of names. It's Roman. Love you, man. Can't remember your whole name. But yeah, we were doing war, Ontier West War, and that was really funny because we're like, we know it's not going to happen, but we have to do the things. So it was a lot of me being like, Your Majesty, Christian, what do you want for fighting? And he's like, I don't know. It's probably not going to happen. He's like, tell me all the things I can do. I'm like, I don't know them either. So it was a lot of me emailing people being like, can you tell me what the war field's like? And they're like, chronography. And I'm like, not helpful. So yeah, it'll be great. And we're doing war as well. So if you want to come help with that, we need people.
Awesome. So you've gotten really into doing service?
Yes.
Awesome. It is aside from autocrating, which is, huge, what are your other service passions?
One thing I'm very stuck on right now is education. And I don't mean classes. I mean the infrastructure of our groups and how to educate people and how to continue that. So actual knowledge of like, hey, you're going to be a champion. What does that actually mean? Because there are people who are amazing. Like I have seen some fencers that like, I won, I'm great. Oh, I have to stand here for 6 hours in the sun? What? like, it's always that shock moment where you're like, oh, this is a job. And I'm like, yeah, it was a job. You stabbed someone as your job interview. Now you have the job. But there's a lot of that stuff where we don't have and I'm not saying that globally we have it globally, but in each group, we don't have enough knowledge of, like, hey, you're like Exchequer and Seneschal are very well known, but like for the marshalate, we have like martial rules changes and we don't always disseminate that information. And so I think one of the offices I have right now is Summit's education deputy, which is kind of in limbo because we don't know what we're doing. But something that I'm very much pushing for is knowledge of, like, hey, this is what this office does. This is what you should do with it. And here are the boundaries you should have around it. Like, this is what your job is. If you want to do more than that, great. But do not think you're expected to do more than that, or that you have to. So I'm very big on trying to teach the next generation, or even those of us who are already helium-handed a lot, like, hey, our life comes first, our health comes first, and there needs to be a healthy boundaries there. So I'm that's my big passion right now, is like, hey, we can do this better. And not saying that what we've done is wrong, but just that, like, if we want to keep us from burning ourselves out, boundaries.
Absolutely. And I think that that kind of education is so important. The first time I was a seneschal, there was no job description. There was no like written anything of what I was supposed to be doing. I had to like, there was no training, there was nothing. And it's kind of an important job.
Yeah. And the boundaries on that could be easily pushed.
Yes.
You're like getting stuck in people's interpersonal stuff, and you're like, you want to respect them and be like, hey, I want to hear your thing, but this has nothing to do with my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a really important thing to know, because the minute you step into that role, you get dogpiled on with all of that stuff, because you're a new set of ears. It's very interesting. So I think that's really important. And I think that the SCA lacks that a little bit, at least in our kingdom, and has historically. One of the things that I've thought has been really cool online content out of is it Meridies, Rifkin, that we did that how shit is
how
done.
Shit works. I was going to say the same thing. Like, yeah, I think it is Meridies.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Oh no, they did a whole series on what everyone does, like an hour episode on each thing, and I think it's just so great because they're really not just in Ontario, but I think everywhere there's a lack of sharing of institutional knowledge, and there's this feeling that, you know, people that have been doing things for a long time should step aside and let new people do stuff, but then we don't give the new people any direction, which super sucks for everyone, because we could have, you know, the enthusiasm of new people with the shared knowledge of people that have been doing this for decades, and, you know, run super smoothly. So I love what you're doing. I think that's amazing.
And then the new people get criticized for the job they're doing. It's like,
Yeah. And because we have the actual rules, and then we have the social rules, like the things that we're assumed to know, and you don't always know that. Like, I think that that's a big one. Like, I was very much taught, like, you're not allowed to ask to be someone's protege. That's something that I was taught, because that was just a thing they had there. Like, if you ask to be a protege, it means you want to be a pelican. If you want to be a pelican, then that's bad. And I was like, oh, okay, but what if you want to pelican anyway? And they're like, well, that's bad. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be a deviant over here. So which is how I got Nadezhda. I gave her a hammer with her name on it.
I'll tell you that I did not do any sort of quest or show myself worthy to be a squire either. So that was, somebody was steering you wrong, because every knight has their own thing. And yeah, and people should know that too, you know, that everybody's different, and if they want something, they should ask for it.
Yeah, no, clear expectations are something that this isn't an SCA thing. This is just like society at large, but we have unspoken rules, unspoken expectations. And then when you fail the expectation, you don't know what you did wrong. And then you can internalize it. And then you're like, well, I just must be a failure because I didn't know I was supposed to do that thing. And in the SCA, you don't know what you don't know. And it's ridiculous, but it's true. Like there's so much that I was like, oh, I had no idea. And yeah, like running Eggles, I found out about like, I'm mad at them from AS 32. And I'm like, well, I don't know why though. I was not here. And then they tell me and I'm like, I'm so sorry that happened. Did anyone in that situation still in the Barony? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then I can't tell them they suck. I'm sorry. What can I do?
It's time to move on.
Yeah. And, but the SCA as a whole, we put so much into this that, like we talked about this earlier, like we have traumas there, even if it's not like a big trauma, like we have pain here. And if it's never dealt with, then it just sits and festers. And then you get those people that are just kind of angry and bitter in the corner. And they're like, and you get the back in my day, and which there is value in the back in my day, but there's also gatekeeping that comes with it. So we need to know but expecting everyone to know what their things are, like, oh, I have a button around this topic. You don't always know until you hit it. And you're like, oh, that apparently bothers me. Good to know. So,
and we all have those buttons. I certainly do.
And I was gonna say, and those of us with those buttons could also, be a little bit more tempered with how we react when they're brought up, because there's one of my big things the last couple of years is that I don't want any of my jadedness to be transferred to my students unintentionally or intentionally. So I try really hard to not give them my opinion on something if they didn't ask for it. Mm-hmm. So I am always super supportive of anything they want to do, even if like in the back of my head I was not taught that was a cool thing, because you know what, it might be a cool thing, and whoever taught me that it wasn't a cool thing is just high or something, right?
Yeah.
And I really wish more people would do that, because it's not really fair to anyone for us to keep perpetuating our biases, especially biases that are unfounded.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I had this, was a heated debate with Luciano about the Madu and how I am not pro or con on this weapon. I do not care. I just think it's funny to annoy my friends who aren't genuinely bothered by it. But some of the rhetoric around it, I was like, the explanation you're giving for it not being okay is inherently white supremacist, period. I'm not calling you one. I'm just saying that the way that was explained is from the point of view that this group is good, this group is bad. You're putting down a marginalized group by saying that this weapon must inherently suck. Now you can argue it sucks in SDA combat, and yes, I'm right there with you. I think I've been hit with them too hard. Ow, it hurt. Yes, I get it. But at the same time, like, but you can't. So yeah, there's definitely even if you've been taught to not like them, it doesn't mean that you should continue teaching to not like it. That's how you get generational feuds of like, I just don't like them. And I'm like, cool, but why? Like, I don't like lampreys. I'm not going to yell at you for eating one. I might be horrified. Just because, have you seen their mouths? Like, that genuinely bothers my like inner soul bits. But that shouldn't be taught to the next generation. Just because I'm like, I refuse to learn how to gnaw bind because I can sew and that's it. I'm not doing more. And like, but I'm not going to tell you like, you're learning how to embellish. Ugh. Like, no, why? Like, do your thing, love it. Don't make me do it.
I think the Madu is a really good example, because we've gotten so biased against it in Ontario that we don't know how to fight it anymore. Mm-hmm. And we go places and we get our asses kicked by it, and I'm just like, bring it back so that we can all learn how to fight it. And the people that fight with it, I have some really good friends that fight with it, and they're awesome, and they're good fighters, and they're using skill to fight with it, and we should know how to counter that.
Yeah, no, and then because we aren't good as a group, we're not good at defending it, then we don't like it more because we're embarrassed that we died so bad to it.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. There's no reason to do that. Just be honest, be like, I don't like it, I don't know how to fight it. That's so different than it's inherently bad. Like, it's not inherently bad. There's no reason to be a snob about it.
Nope.
Or be a snob very privately with your friends in the corner, and don't do it in a hurtful way, because we're all going to do that, but don't. I have my circle of friends that I can be like, hey, I'm going to be really rude, and they're like, oh, tell me. And then I say my rude thought, and they're like, wow, that was terrible. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And they're like, that's funny, but that's bad. And I'm like, I know, I'm just having a bad day. And then we talk about it, we get it done. I don't need to like put it on Facebook and be like, death to the Danes. I don't even, which one are the Danes? I don't know either. The Franks, I can make fun of the French. Like, there's no reason other than like making fun of close friends where I can joke, you know, about stuff with them, but there's no reason to lump an entire group, an entire thing, because then you're just kind of just being an asshole. And there's no need to do that.
Splash zone is an important thing to consider. You know, it's good to have your safe places to vent, but when you're spouting toxicity all over the place and spreading it all over, that's not healthy for you or anyone that's getting hit with it. So
yeah. And what about that new person? It's their first event and they got to hear you let it rip. And there are definitely those events where I'm like, oh, it's 2-3 in the morning, QRC was still going, I haven't eaten since 1. Thoughts were had in my head, but I worked really hard not to let them out of me. I might have. That was a couple of years ago. I fully admit I am do as I say, not as I do, or not as I did, because trust me, I have stepped in it many times. But yeah, no, exactly. Like we grow and we change. Also, this is something I just have to say. We need to let other people grow and change.
Exactly.
Yeah, just because you knew so-and-so 20 years ago and they were a complete, you know, like douche canoe, so what? They have a group of people that they're fostering, they're helping a group, they're a pillar of a community. And if they're not being actively terrible, it doesn't matter that they made fun of your crushed velvet dress 20 years ago and you're still real mad. Okay, or me, it was 10 years ago and I was real mad. But still, it wasn't crushed velvet. But it might as well have been. It was pretty bad. I threw it away. But there's no reason to hold hate about that. I can just occasionally roll my eyes at them. But yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because none of us so none of us are the same person we were in our 20s. And I think we need to give people that are in their teens and their 20s and even older, like some of us mature later, the opportunity to grow up and realize that maybe they said some things that they're not so proud of when they were younger. And, you know, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with them if you really feel, you know, totally put out by them, but you don't have to bad talk them to other people either, especially when they've totally made a turnaround and they are a pillar of their community and they're fostering people and whatever. You know, if they're still, you know, a bad person, I mean, yeah, but yeah, we got to give people the grace to do better as they know better.
Yeah, no, and I took a break from Facebook for various reasons and I came back and there's like another group of people that are doing similar things to us and I have opinions on it too, but at the same time saying if you're friends with someone who's in that group, you're a bad person. I'm like, no, my word, guys, no, because this is how you radicalize each other to get further and further apart. Like I 100% see like the asshole in me sees it in everyone else, but the compassionate part of me sees it too. Like we need compassion and accountability, but we don't need to just decide you're friends with this person, therefore you're bad. That isn't helpful to us. That isn't helpful, like personally isn't helpful, but it's not helpful for a group. And it's been really disheartening to come back to Facebook and I'm like, friends, I graduated, I got a degree, do, and everyone's like, meh. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that everyone was mad. I was not aware of that. I didn't get a memo. And it's rightful anger because there is so much trauma still. So there's people on both sides who have pain that have not been dealt with. And then when you attack either, you're just splitting further. And I don't have a solution to this problem. I need to say that now. I just see a problem and I'm trying to figure out if there's a way we could bring ourselves back together.
I'm a firm believer in not spending energy on hate or on trying to make other people come around my way, like or so I don't know. I just wish people would decide that they want positivity in their lives and sort of concentrate on the things that they can make better and do better and cheerlead for, I guess, instead of spending all of our energy ridiculing other people and judging, because it's really a waste of
Time
your
and
life,
energy.
really, and your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my like big SCA community theories is that SCA is made up of a lot of different niches, and some of those niches are not my thing. Some of the ways that some groups of people interact, and I'm not talking about dangerous, harmful interactions, but just people that are not my people. That doesn't mean they don't deserve to have their awesome group and do their awesome things.
Yeah.
And people in that group are leaders in that group, and they deserve the same recognition that leaders in my group deserve. Just because they aren't my people doesn't mean that I'm not going to support them and promote them when they're doing the work. And I think it's important that we all look outside of our little communities and our little niches and reach those niches that maybe don't have the representation that you know other groups have, and make sure that they get lifted up, and so that they have the representation as well.
No,
So that's my soapbox.
I completely agree that we have more that unites us than we have that separates us. And if we can remember that, but even if you don't like the person at all, even if you don't get along on a single thing, you still don't have to, just be like, well, you're dead to me. And I'm like, but even a you're dead to me would be fine, because at least you're like, you're dead to me. But then you don't tell everyone else you're dead to everyone. Like, right. There are situations when it's extreme. I'm all aboard the nope, I'm not interacting with this anymore. But on lesser matters, I'm like, I don't really care if we're having the peanut butter and jelly fight again, guys. I just don't care. I'm tired. I'm so tired. This is proof I am tired. And I want to just have fun and make weird jokes with my friends and, stalk my friends with a camera until I can get them smiling. That was like a really, really pointed Rifkin look, but you can't tell because I stop you with my camera constantly. I'm trying to always get the smiling picture.
I don't smile very often.
I know. I have definitely, I've just given in. I'll get like regal and stoic, but I just want like one like natural smile. Then I get a smile and I'm like, that is not a normal smile. That is not a real smile. That isn't uncomfortable, which it's cute, but it's like, I want the natural, and I try, but I will continue. I just don't post all of them.
Come into camp when she and I are giggling, and then you'll get the natural smile.
Yeah. I want to talk about your photography though. Like, that's a good transition, because you are an amazing photographer, and you give of yourself so often at events by taking amazing photography like throughout the whole event, and then you post it and you share it and you let people use it. And tell me about it. Like, how did you get into photography? Like, how did you decide you wanted to spend your events doing that?
So oddly, photography was one that kind of just happened. I've always liked taking pictures, but then I think it was Luciano's step down when he was Prince. And I had nothing to do because I was the girlfriend, not the princess, which is totally fine. But at the same time, I had nothing to do. And it was awkward and I wanted to help, but then I didn't want to be underfoot. So I was like, I borrowed a camera and I was like, I'm going to take pictures of the weekend. And my best friend growing up was an avid photographer. And so she showed me some things, but then she passed when I moved up here, actually. So taking pictures was a way of like connecting with her, but it was also a way of like getting to be a part of the situation. And when I was having a really hard time at events, it was a way of being there physically without being there. So I could hide behind my camera and be like, I am here, I'm part of this, I get to remember this, but I don't have to. It was like escapism at first almost. And then after that, it was that realization of like, I'm one of those people, my friends and I talked about it. Apparently I'm demi-romantic or something. I think someone's beautiful or attractive when I know them. Like when I see your heart, that is my thing. I can be, you can be the hottest guy in the world. I don't care. You have to talk first for me to care. And so I see my friends and I'm like, you are gorgeous humans. And so I'm always trying to show them what I see. And what I see is like this beautiful, strong, amazing women. And these, I fully admit the guys, I post all the pictures because almost never do I get them being like, I have a double chin in that one. Usually they're just like, hey, that's my double chin. And I'm like, cool, this is mine. Like, it's fine. They're there. But like, I love getting to getting a picture of that moment. Like I got one of, was it Steercar or was it Charlton? There was the cup shot, the winning of crown with the cup shot. There was like a stab and it hit the cup. Like I have a photo of that. Like, yes, I'm like, that was part of history. I got that on film. And getting to take pictures of the fighting was really fun because they're beautiful. Like I have a fan on and I have to turn it off. But the fighters are beautiful. Like I love watching a good fighter. That's what I first noticed about Luciano. I'm like, you don't have to win for me to see that you have skill. Like you're gorgeous to watch fight. And there's so many of them that I'm like, wow, you guys move so well. Like there's just, it's a dance. And I love getting pictures of them mid-dance where I'm like, that is gorgeous. Or sometimes it's just doofy. And I'm like, this is great. I don't know what either of you were doing in the shot. Like those ones are great too. Fencing's less fun because they're done too fast. Like it's like a boop. You can't get the boop. Like sometimes I can. I've gotten better, but most of the time, if I get like the sword bowing, I'm like, yes, I got the moment. But it's just about getting my friends. It's getting to save that moment of their joy and getting to share it with everyone when I eventually get around to posting it, which sometimes can be literal years.
Because life is more important than, SCA.
It is, and I have some of Francis shirtless fencing on the beach that I cannot access because my drive is corrupted, and I won't get rid of the drive because I'm like, it's Francis shirtless fencing on the beach. We need this in our lives. Like that is a treasure of Vontier right there. The human, and then the shirtlessness is just like icing on the cake. But I cannot get to it. It's same with Finn in the water. They're in the same drive. It was like, yeah, I have a hidden hot men of Vontier calendar just waiting in the nether. It's fine. I'll get him to do it again. But
Awesome. Well, should we look at some pictures? I didn't pull pictures that you took so much more.
I have used a ton of her pictures in my calendar.
Aww.
You took the most amazing pictures up at the crown that Saverick won. I'm pretty sure that's the one, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they're the most amazing. Anyway.
Okay.
Yes, let's look at pictures.
Okay.
Yes. Oh. Before I knew about self-supporting garments.
You look fine.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure what I should say because I don't want to be inappropriate, but
no,
it's like in the right place is all I'm saying.
They are. It's just I look at it and I'm like, current me is like, I would do so much different to that, but
But
I loved it.
This is fantastic early SCA garb. It's great.
It is. And that dress I got from someone else, and that was probably, yeah, that's probably like an AS30 I'm wearing there. It's a good vintage. Oh boy. I remember that helmet. That was not a good helmet to fight in.
So I'm gonna just kind of go through until you say stop and you want to talk about something.
This one actually, I was given an award by the Queen of the West. I did water bearing. This is actually the year I met Finn, Baron, Master, all the things, Finn the Beautiful. My favorite of the Bane Squires until I met Susanna, and then Susanna trumped them both. I married one and I still choose Susanna. Let the record state she's my favorite. But
I choose Susanna too.
Exactly, right? I thought Finn's the best. And then I met Susanna. I was like, damn, Susanna, you are my favorite and I will keep you forever.
Also,
but yeah, but no, this was the first, I think this is the second time I met Seamus, but I was called up in court and I freaked out because I was like hanging out in the back and I didn't even know, I wasn't even living in the West, but I was called up and they gave me an award, and Seamus there, the wonderful sea moose, ran out to escort me, and it's a treasured memory. He is a sweetie. Yep. Oh, that was that chest thing I was wearing. Was Turk's. That's the one I traded him. That's a coat of plates. It weighs at least 30 pounds, and if you have boobums, the plates pinch them.
Ow! No good.
Yeah. Aw. Luciano stepped down. Aw. What award was this?
This is your goot.
Oh. Memories. That was very sweet.
And they gave you both your goot and
Jean. Yeah. I was, oh wow. I love that Aaron Duncan is flexing in the background. This was Nadezhda taking me on officially as a protege, because I bribed, well, I didn't bribe her. She said that she wanted a hammer with her name on it because one of her friends had one. And so I went around site and no one was selling hammers. So I bought a used Grendel hammer that was a little broken, and I wrote Ned on the bottom because I could not spell Nadezhda if I wanted to. And then I gave it to her and she accepted me. It was, yeah.
And she says she still has and uses the hammer. So
it was a really good hammer. It was just really sweaty because it had very been used. You could see like where Grendel's hands had been on it. It's pretty amazing.
It's got good juju then.
Yes.
And so this is you in light fighting gear?
Yes. I technically am a fencer. I know how. And I've done it. I actually became Terra Primaria's rapier champion that day. I'm not sure how that actually happened, given who was in the tournament, but I don't know. Is that actually me, or is that Luciano?
I don't know. Is that Luciano? I can't tell.
I mean, the thing is I can't tell either. It's his clothes, but he wouldn't fill them out that. No, I think I see a boob. That's me. Okay. I genuinely don't know, but yeah, I stole all his clothes for fencing once. It was very fun. Eggles with Dern and Caradwin step up as Baron and Baroness, I think. Yeah, I made those clothes. I remember that.
Oh, well, let's go back to those then.
Oh,
you made their clothes?
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about your costuming.
Oh yeah, I do that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it.
Are you apprenticed to anybody?
No, I find that path really stressful. Like
Mm,
that one stresses me out. I fully admit. I'm like, ooh, that's those are the cool kids. I'm not gonna sit at their table. So
aw. Well,
um
that makes me sad because I think you're a cool kid and I would love to sit at any table with you. But like I said before, you do you.
no, and I love it, but I learned how to sew predominantly from my friend Lorian, who's a professional costumer. So like for theater, so a lot of what I know is from that point of view with a historical twist. So I'm not always being the most accurate, but when I'm like dressing my friends when they're Prince of the Summits, I'm getting it done and it looks good.
I think we all worry too much about how other people are going to judge our historical accuracy in our costumes. I think we should all like take our worry down a bit and just enjoy the art that we're doing personally.
Yeah, I
100%.
like yeah, because like this isn't it doesn't show it as much, but this one like I said, my friend Petra, I'll go with her SCA name, for all the like the Viking apron dresses, Petra's like, you don't have to feel like a sack, you can fit these to you. And it's really fun because if you fit them a little bit above the bust and get the back to lay well and a little below the bust, it means that if you're not hooked up, it stays up. And it doesn't have to be like sexy, but it's still, it makes you feel better in it.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of make you feel good in your clothes.
absolutely. And that's something I always say to people is you are not going to want to play in a game where you're wearing clothes that make you feel dumpy and ugly. And so make what makes you feel pretty. You know, if the proper period pattern for what you're doing makes you feel like you're wearing a sack, but you really want to wear that period, alter the pattern.
Yeah, no,
Because, know the difference, but where would you feel pretty in and where would you feel handsome in?
mhm.
Just, ah. Anyway.
And by the way, there is not a period blessed pattern for an apron dress. So,
Yeah, no, and
and
it's
that
really,
one looked great, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, it found a new home with Viscountess Brecca because uh, I'm trying to stay Italian. Look at me being Roman, but it's the same country.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Well, and it suits you. This is a beautiful. You look beautiful.
yeah. Oh,
I don't know what's going on here, but
Luciano is about to become a pelican there.
oh, nice.
Oh, this is Norse wrestling at Eggles. I'm in my pajamas because I wasn't gonna get muddy in good clothes. And this is where I found out that despite the fact I have the strength and the size, I don't like throwing people. And yeah, so girls are scary. I think I'm with Rose Atherton here, and she was pretty kind to me when she threw me to the ground. But yeah, I'm not good at using my just I couldn't Hulk smash. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, sweetie. Can I let you down gently? And then they're like, don't be condescending. And then they throw me on the floor. So yeah, it's a fun game. A lot of people get hurt. Who would have thunk? Oh, it's the same one. I borrowed all of Luciano's clothes because I found out that there's a 15th century Italian woman's name. It's just it's a mixture of them, but it's Boba de Fette. And I wanted to be that as a mercenary. And so I was trying it out. I still haven't registered it. I should, because every time I say it, I think someone's going to steal it from me.
Yeah.
Like Payne's 53rd persona is going to be that. Um,
That's a real concern. He is very much into those cool names. So.
Yeah, no, I just saw him last weekend. We had a whole talk about it, and I was like, I claim it. And he's like, well, yeah. And I was like, I'll fight you for it. Oh, Yeah, I'm good with children. Or I'm being eaten by them. I don't know what's happening here, but I was very tired. Aw. That outfit on Luciano was my first big impressive thing I made. And I love that thing and I hate it so much at the same time.
Do you sew all of your clothes and his clothes?
No. I do some of his, but he actually makes a lot of his own clothes. Oh, hey, that's a cell phone in my boob. Like this dress, the orange one I'm wearing was actually mailed to me from Rosemary when she moved from she's from I think she was Thierry. She moved to England or something. I don't know. I ended up with a dress.
It's a great color.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, there's Suvia.
This is the best photo bomber ever.
Oh, she's so good at it too. Oh,
so good.
Aww.
Aww. He doesn't ever take bad photos. He's just
true facts. You take pretty good photos too. I think this is really funny. There's just so much going on here. We got these glasses are just awesome, and then she's got a great look on her face.
I think I'm actually rubbing Skeggy's shoulders while he's watching the finals of Crown right here. I think that's what's happening. I'm behind the fence and he's in front of it and I'm rubbing his shoulders. Because in massage school, I'm like, give me all the dukes. They're broken in such fun ways.
I went to massage school too, and I did a similar thing.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Aww.
So this is you becoming champion at Terra Primaria?
Yes, because the same pink dress. Yep, that is me becoming champion with my, wow, that little tiny person in the front there can now drive.
Aww.
I'm gonna drink to that one. Oh, that scroll. If you win, you get to keep the scroll for a year. It's a large scroll and it's heavy.
It's a gift.
It is. And I think because whoever, there's only so many lines on it and whoever wins it last gets to keep the scroll is the joke. So, aw. Oh, Ned, what is happening there? Oh, what's this?
Laurel wreath of the summits.
Oh.
Something, blah, blah.
Yes, that's the Arts Grail. I got that from, Turk Vista. That makes sense. Yeah.
It said something about it being your first award. I don't know, maybe first arts award?
Oddly, I think it wasn't. I think I had a Kingdom Award before I had that one, but it was their first award they gave out in court.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's
yeah. I sewed Turk into his pants during that tournament multiple times. And I made the pants that kept tearing. So, now I know that like craft wars are a thing. So learning is a thing that happened.
Yep.
Aww. That was a fun day. Offhand white scarf. Which one is this?
I want to say maybe this is Crown Processional.
Yeah, that looks like it. Oh yeah, that's fairly recent because it's what's her name there? Yeah. Aw.
Not too recent though, because this is a red belt.
True, yes. Has he fought in a crown since he's been a knight?
I don't think so.
No. Oh.
Oh my god, this is a hilarious picture.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Oh, so much is happening. That day, that is Allie. She's amazing. And while the Tanis and Tanista were being given their little cornets, she made a joke to me and I snorted real loud. And so there's photos of them getting it on their head and everyone staring back at me. and I hid behind Master Thomas. He's a mod. I just hid behind him and pretended like it must have been him, which no one believed it. But yeah, I was a little bit mortified.
Aw.
Oh, I think I was talking to Eduardo about Arbonne or something. I'm like, how good is the face cream? Let me feel you. Which, you know.
And see, in my mind, this was like a really touching bonding moment between the two of you.
It was. It just started out weird.
Oh.
12th night, I think. I don't even know what's happening. Aww. Oh, I remember this. Aww. That's so cute. Oh, my natural face in the sun is very glary. It was just...
What's going on here?
We're a little bit, this is on Tier West and I got a tiny bit intoxicated, and my drunk buddy, Sir Viscount Durin, all the things, and I were attempting to get across the field because there's a lot of holes, so we were in the buddy system, but the drunks were helping each other, and it was just such a poor choice all around.
There's a whole series of these photographs, and I couldn't not post at least one.
Yeah. Oh, this was my birthday and the day that Luciano got offered Vigil to Knighthood. It was, and in the photo behind after this, Livia had snuck up behind me, but I thought she was Bane. And I almost elbowed her because I thought it was Bane behind me. And oh, Luciano's knighting.
I just think this is a beautiful photograph of you.
That's my cell phone background.
It's gorgeous. All the black work on these is gorgeous.
That was trim. I couldn't do it because I had 11 days, so I sewed trim down. That was like scalloped trim that I rolled over and used the black. And then the wrist stuff was one that had already been, the red was there already, and I subcontracted to a friend to do the black for it because I'm not a good stitcher like that. And I was like, I have 10 days, someone help me.
Yeah, that's just the cuffs are lovely.
Yeah, it turned out great. I was proud of his outfit, except his cod piece was never doing that again.
Yeah.
The photos of it are when he hugs Bane, it's embarrassing. Like that one, I'm like, take it off the internet. That's not a photo I want I like. It's great, but it's also like, yeah.
I think that I avoided most of those.
Yeah.
So I was like,
no. Oh, this is a final 3, last coronet.
So how is the experience of being inspiration for you?
It's kind of weird because I mean, like it's my husband and I love him dearly and I'm there to support him. But I always feel like I'm not living up to the whatever you're supposed to do as an inspiration.
Right.
At this particular tournament, if you want to pop back one photo, I think, oh no, not that one, maybe not. Okay. There was one of all of us, yeah, this one. So in the line, it is Her Highness of the Summits, Dagmar, myself, and then Sigrid. And we all had, we were the consorts of the top 3. And all day, because Sigrid had Duke Torquil fighting for her, and I had Luciano, and Dagmar had Kenrick, her husband, and you know, she's a Viscountess, so she's done this before, and all of our fighters had won before, and they were kind of in our contender top 3. We assumed probably would be up there, And so all day, instead of, I have seen the consort relationships between each other, like between consorts, be kind of catty. Like it's not what I would want it to be. So that day, we, every time, if they were okay with it, we held hands. So we were like, I'm supporting your guy or gal, you're supporting mine, let's do this. And so we did a like support our people from the side, because it just felt like the right choice. Plus there was a lot going on in the summits at the time as well, but it was just a good way of keeping us connected and remembering that this isn't about who wins, this is about us as a group. And so as a consort, I would rather be supportive to each other rather than just like, I'm not good at being a pretty princess. I don't think I'd be good at that, but I would do my best for my group, which is sort of dodging your question, but.
It's not, though. I think that that it can be very adversarial, and I despise that about it. And I think you said that you feel like you don't live up to the standard, and I think that that's one of the things culturally that we need to address, and that we need to uh, what is the word I'm looking for? We need to break down that stereotype, because being a consort for a fighter is a very personal relationship, just like, you know, a student peer relationship, or a night squire, blah blah blah, whatever, a mentor student relationship. It's a personal thing, and it's not anybody's business to judge that from the outside.
Yeah.
So I have big opinions about that.
No, I agree. I didn't know much about the fighter consort relationship, and then because I started dating Luciano right before he won Prince, so I got to see it from the side of the not either. I was like, I was near it, but I wasn't any of it. And so for a long time, I would get really crabby if someone called me Your Excellency, because I'm like, I'm not excellent. I'm just a plebe over the corner. And it was self-deprecating and really not a good approach. But then you get beautiful moments like this of there's a romanticism to it that I think is beautiful. And, you know, he mouths, I love you before he fights, and I do the same to him. And it's cute and I love it. And it's unique and it's beautiful.
And I one of the things that both of us do for these interviews is we spend a few hours Facebook stalking our interviewees and pulling together slideshows. And the way that he looks at you is powerful, and there is no doubt in my mind that you truly do inspire him. And it's very moving to see, and that's what matters.
No,
You know,
he is very, very much my other half. And I am to date, my best SCA moment is still him being offered knighthood, because it wasn't on my birthday, it was the day before, but I count that as my birthday present, was getting to see him get that and getting to be there. And it's his accomplishment, but
There's a lot of support that goes into that.
yeah, no, and he's my heart. And his first Squires tourney he won, I'm wearing the trim that he won from it. And they said that I was Queen of Love and Beauty, and I've read Game of Thrones too many times. And so I was like, I'm your Lyanna, and you can be my Rhaegar. And he's like, don't they die? I'm like, shut up, that's not the point. It was cute for like 7 months. And he's like, okay, cool.
oh, I lied. I did get one codpiece shot.
Yeah, and the codpiece was epic. It was very good for the painting. It just, it moved when he laughed, and it was just too much for me.
When you can rest your hands on it, maybe. I don't know.
I don't make them. The first one looked like an elephant. It was actually worse. And I was basing it upon the measurements from a period one. I was like, no, these are stupid. And then they were like, add pearls. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing pearls. And they're like, what about garnets? I'm like, I'm not doing that either. What? Why would you do that? And yeah, and someone was like, Bane was like squeaky toy. And I was like, Bane, go away. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's I wanted a picture of me looking like whatever that was. Aw. Yeah, Luciano won the, what was that? That was the Squire or Unbelt or
The Ladies of the Rose tourney.
yeah, wasn't the Little Shield one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that
first-
was really, really, really fun. And I got to take the little shields and shield bash people with it. It's not chivalrous. I wasn't fighting. It was fine. I asked consent first, and then I was like, "Can I punch you with these? These are fun." I have the longer necklace still. It's on my wall over there.
Oh, I just skipped past that. Sorry.
Oh, on the subject of inspiration and people who help you get places in the SCA, this is Petra, the beautiful Italian woman next to me. She is amazing and wonderful and perfect, but she moved away because she hates me and wants me to be sad forever. Yeah, I'm not at all guilt tripping her about it still. But she actually made the dress I'm wearing, which is gorgeous and amazing. And
And the dress she's wearing, I just like.
it can stand on its own.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I'm in love with it too.
She did all the research, and that the locket she's wearing, she painted all of her awards inside of it, so when it pops open to 4 different things, and it has all of her awards inside. It is
cool.
She is a amazing human, and I want her to come back to my seaboard, or I just need to go see her. But
Where did she move to?
She moved to right outside of Boston, but she's currently in Vermont. She's the not quite the head of the costuming department at the theater she's working at, but she's like second to the top. She's
How exciting.
Yeah, she's doing Midsummer Night's Dream. They're using a lot of suede. And I was like, isn't that outdoor theater in like July? She's like, yeah, they're going to be really sweaty. We're figuring that out still.
Lots of venting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, that Titania is going to be dripping. I feel bad for the girl. 12th night. Aw.
Love that shot.
Idonia did that one. That dress is so much fun. I was going to wear it tonight, but sitting in it that long, no, it's not a sitting dress.
No, yeah, there are things that I don't wear for these because they're just not good to sit in. So this is like the 3rd award you're getting from them.
Yes, I think so. I don't know how that happened, but I really like them too.
Were you on retinue for them?
No, I think Luciano might have been. I just hung out with them sometimes.
There are a lot of photographs of you standing behind court, and it made me wonder.
Oh, I stunt retinue a lot, but I don't know. I've been on a couple official retinues, but not often actually. It's usually just like I'm here to help. Or it's like when I'm in the summit, so like my friends are prince every other time. So it's a lot of like, I'm here to help. I'll make it happen. I'll fix all your clothes if you want. Which is always fun.
Ruth is asking if he was champion for them, if Luciano was champion during their reign.
Oh, no, he was QRC right before he became prince, and that was during It was before Vic and Astrid. So that must have been uh, 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 mm, he's a really fun fighter. He's very short. I
Ian
knew
and
him from,
Gwyneth.
thank you. Yes. Yeah. I know. I just know him as a fighter because I watched him. Anyway, he's fun
I
to
only
watch.
knew that because I was head of retinue for Vic, and I helped the switchover, so I
Yeah.
we worked with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but Luciano was, yeah, he sadly didn't get to do his full QRC because he had to go win Prince. Him and his accolades. I'm very proud of him, by the way. I just always have to say that because it gets a little tiring. And they're like, what's it like to live with a quad peer? I'm like, I don't know. At events, I see him for about 2 hours and then he's at meetings.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, but it's fine. And he loves it and he's invested and he outed that he's been in it since 96. And I was like, oh, wow. So
Also, since 96,
yeah.
95, same as Rifkin. Yep. Well, Rifkin, do you have any other questions?
Yes.
Then ask them.
Well, you talked about how like the Laurel path is a little scary, but you are on the Pelican path, right? Yeah. Um, what is the difference to you? Because to me, it looks like you have a passion for both of them. Um, and you can tell me to suck it, and you're not going to
No.
so
And we think it's important for people to have goals and to say, yes, I want to be a Pelican, and yes, I want to be a Laurel. So
yeah.
It's not, it's just the first Laurel I ever met was one of those Laurel stories where I was like super new. I think it was my first on to West War, and I was like, I really want a book on garb. And she's like, are you looking for a book on wheat? And I was like, no, what? And she's like, well, if you're depending on the time period, garb would just be referring to wheat. And I was like, definitely not that. And so it was just it wasn't even embarrassing, it was just so off-putting where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm gonna go over here now. And I'm it was a very hot day and I'm gonna give her credit, like it was hot, it was uncomfortable, I'm sure she had a long day, but I was like, dude, I just want to buy a book. So, and it's not just that, it's just I had a Laurel once tell me that they could tell I sew as a service and not as an art, and that's one of those statements that lives in my brain. So it's like right up there with like your feet are too big. I'm like, my toes curl in, and so does that statement. So, and it's also I don't know where I'd want to excel in it either. I feel like if you want to be a Laurel, you need a direct, like, I'm doing this thing and I'm not doing that thing. I'm doing like one of my prides and joys is I got Sir Durin into long sleeve shirts. Like that's what I did. I got him to wear long sleeves. Like, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it was like, I was like, I have a win here. And like, so I have goals. There's things I want to do. I want to get better at. Like, I adore making armor. I adore working on soft kit. Like Luciano soft kit is like, that is my baby. I have been battling on how to get that armoring doublet to look good and to sit well and not tear thanks to his breastplate. So like things like that I really want to do, but I just don't know how to. I don't even know who I would talk to about that. Be like, hey, is there someone that wants to just like, because I don't really want to be pointed in a direction either, but I also want someone to understand that like I'm in school right now, so my interest will ebb and flow. So I don't know, like service is a little more direct because I met Nadezhda and I was like, I don't care what you're doing, lady, I want to be around you. I was like, I pick you. Oh, you're a Pelican. I want to be a thing near your Pelican stuff. Like that is, so I picked the person, and then and there's lots of Laurels I think are amazing, but I'm like, I don't know if we would mesh like that because I've mellowed over time, but I'm a lot sometimes, and I need someone who can handle a lot. And I haven't found someone who has shown interest that can deal with.
That's totally legit. I think that you absolutely should not just jump on having a peer for something just to have it. It just, again, it goes all about to relationship and who clicks for you and who can be a good match for you and a good mentor for you. And if that hasn't come in your life yet, then there's no rush. And you
Yeah.
don't ever have to have a Laurel either. That's not a requirement. And I think that everybody finds a passion eventually, and if it's soft kit for you and that's the rabbit hole you're going to go down, that's awesome. And I'm pretty sure that Rifkin probably knows somebody that can help you out with some pointers. Aren't you having a class coming up
Yeah,
soon?
I think she lives in the Summits. Taryn?
Yeah.
Oh, Taryn, yes. No, and Taryn's someone I've talked to about it. Yeah.
So, and I don't know if she's a Laurel or not, but
She's on Vigil.
Yeah. She's been on Vigil for like ever.
Forever. That's right.
Yeah.
She's somebody that I totally Facebook stalk because she's doing amazing stuff.
Yeah. No, she's phenomenal. On my if we ever win thing, I was like, I have plans for her. I knew what I wanted to do. Yeah, I have a whole list of like, if the person's not burnt out, I want them here. But if they are burnt out, I want them here. And I have a whole thing of like, this is something I think would be fun, but also like, I want someone from this community to get recognition because this community needs to be seen and appreciated because the SCA is an ecosystem. We have to appreciate all of it, not just, the apex predators. That sounds wrong. Sorry, the top of the food chain is that. Yeah. But we don't need to just like the royalty isn't the only people. Like we need to appreciate the primary producers. We need to appreciate the populace who give us the energy that goes up to the. You can really tell I just took an ecology class, but it does go up that way where we need all of this, and so I do think that we need them to be there, but. With my modern passions now being very much on like restorative justice and social causes and like intersectionality is my big argument at the moment about everything. I'm like, that is not as simple as you're saying it is because it's not. Nothing is. But and so like the Laurel path is something that I think is interesting. But then I see people that I think are so much more deserving than and I don't, this isn't a knock to me, but there are people out there that I'm like, you make amazing work. Why are you not a Laurel? I don't think I can be on that path till that person's already gotten there. Cause like, I'm not like, it's a dated reference, but like, I'm not worthy. Like there are people where I'm like, they're just phenomenal. Like I'm not put in the spot, but like Rifkin makes work that I'm like, and I quote, damn, I like with like lots of extra words, like letters there. Like it's epic. So I'm like, I don't understand. There are people who do such phenomenal things where I'm like, nah, I'm not on that level. And I don't think I even want to do the work to be on that level. I want to like, I always joke, like I shine a turd, like some of my fighter guy friends where like their kid is just sad. And I'm like, I will make that both not smell bad and look better. Like I can shine a turd, but like some people make like actual art. So, and I feel like shining a turd is definitely service. But you can be artful about it, and that's not at all knock to them, and they will fully admit that that's what their stuff looks like and smelled like. But like, I don't know, it's just one of those ones where I'm like, that seems unattainable.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way and not wanting to pursue that.
Can I say something?
Ahead.
I just want to say that you shouldn't compare your path with other people because you don't know what's going on. Like I think for anybody, but I'll speak specifically to me is that I feel like I'm in a position in the SCA where I've I've gotten more than my share of recognition. And there's really one thing I want to do, and I need to do that for myself. And so for me, like the laurel path just isn't even something I desire at the moment.
Mhm.
So I'm not. I have sort of taken myself off of that through my sister. I've said I don't. That's not something I desire because I think it would change my fun in the SCA. Because art is like my fun outlet where I don't have any responsibilities, unless I take them on. But so I just like I not just you, but everyone, like, don't compare yourself to other people. You have no idea what's going on with them. They probably are wowed by your art. I know I'm wowed by your art. Um, so yeah, everybody's path is unique. Nobody needs to get the thing before you get the thing. So
Yes. No, that's entirely true. And I had that talk with Matthias once about art and his opinion on things, and I didn't even know any of his backstories on that. I was informed that much later. And so it's hard to separate that of like, you know, I we're all adults now, but I still am like, but that's the cool kids. And I'm like, I'm a theater nerd in the corner. And then they're like, we are all theater nerds in the corner now, just so you know.
we all feel like that.
Yeah, like somebody was like, you're the mean pretty girl. And I'm like, I'm the pretty girl. Cool.
Hell
But
yeah.
like, but in real life, well, okay, real life, this is mean, but like I grew up with very, very traditionally attractive friends. So I was like the big, loud, funny one in the corner. And so when I got in the SCA, people were like, oh, you're pretty. I'm like, you're drunk. And that's still my response. And it's hopefully will stop being my response, because but then we get to that point where you put yourself down, and those people who look up to you, you're putting them down through what you're doing. And that's something I'm trying to realize, that like I have a friend who's younger than me, and she's like, I want to be you when I grow up. And I was like, oh God, no, don't do that. No, that's a terrible idea. And she seemed actually hurt. And I was like, oh no, I just hurt your feelings. And but I realized, I'm like, oh, you know this slice of me. And of course you like Tessina. Tessina's great. Geneva might be a hot mess, but Tessina's great. And I get that. So it's hard to remember that like I might have watched every video on Rifkin's channel before I moved on to her a couple times. You know, so like you were one of my unicorns. I knew that there were lady knights, and I'm like, what? You can be a knight and a lady? No way. And so like, so for me, I'm like, I'm being interviewed by one of the like, I've realized you're a human now, but for a long time you were on a pedestal. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I get it. I get it.
yeah, in the SCA we meet our heroes, and we don't realize who we're the hero too. And I think that's a big one I'm trying to learn, is like, we like bad mouthing so and so, you don't realize how much you just hurt someone else who identifies in them and with them. So it's a hard road to travel, but at the same time, I can think so and so is a flaming douche, but I don't need to say it. Like, if they're being harmful, I will say it. But if they're not, who cares? Like, oh, I don't like your blah. Meh, doesn't matter. If it's not harming someone, who cares? And so that's very much what I'm trying to do from this point forward, is like, that's somebody's hero. You don't need to bash that person, and you don't realize how much you're hurting other people by doing that. So, and including myself. So.
Yep. All of that. So all that's in my head right now is, I'm a unicorn coming out of your mouth, Rifkin.
Well, it's just
anything else.
I'm not saying this to embarrass anyone, but at the last Florida Kings, it was my birthday at that point. I was a little bit drunk, and I had just been, can't remember what it was. I think I was drunkenly touching Tiernan's face, comparing that his and my foreheads feel the same. And he was joking, he's 20 years older, and like, I should moisturize better. And then I saw Ricken, and I was like, be right back. And I was like, BRB. And they're like, we don't speak text, but okay. And so I walk off, and then I gave her, like, I think I shouted that I thought you were amazing, but like, it was really awkward because I didn't know how to not be loud. And I was like, I think you're amazing. You should be nicer to yourself. And your friend, who I don't even know who you were with, but she like high-fived me, and then I went back to drinking. But it was,
I'm gonna bet it was Kelwin.
It probably was Kelwin, and I remember that interaction, and I remember it fondly. So,
but
I'm nicer to myself. So.
No, and we all should. But it's hard when you're like the token female fighter for like part of the seaboard. You're like, cool. You for a very long time were one of the people that was on that pedestal, and I can't imagine what a pain that is, because I will not make this about you. I know you already know all of this, but I can definitely imagine how much work that is. And I'm happy that you have more up there with you, but I know it's still there. So anyway, I'll stop talking about that.
So
but no, go on.
You don't have to talk about this, but I know how much you love where you live, and you love the summits. And I know that if you two were to reign, that you have ideas. And I just want to say, because I'm not going to make you go into it, but I just want to say that I really appreciate that you're upfront about wanting to reign, and that you have ideas. And I am 100% pulling for you guys whenever Coronet happens. So
yeah, and I think it shouldn't be stigmatized, because we all want that. Like, not to romanticize it, but like, it's like your wedding day, you have your plans. But I call my like big overarching plan like my first lady ideas of like, hey, I will have power in the group. What will I do with it? And you know, I do have plans. I'm like, I want to encourage education. I want to encourage other things, but I also like, and this is partly because of my modern job goals. Like, when I have that on my head, if that happens, I will 100% go to Sir so-and-so and be like, hey, let's have a chat. And not in an accusatory way, just have like the, hey, I don't know if you know, like, the way you're educating your students is doing this to this group. Can we talk about that? You may never have noticed that, because I think we don't know how our actions affect other people until we are told it. And sometimes you can hear it in theory, or you like, I told my husband once, not condemning something is to condone it. And he saw that as too extreme. And then later he saw a more nuanced version of it. And he's like, oh, it clicks now. And so with that power on a more personal level, I would love to be able to be like, hey, you have to listen to me now. First, because when I started out with
audience.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I started at 21 or like 20, and you know, loud 20 with boobs. I wasn't always listened to, but now I'm like, hey, I am loud 30 something and there are still boobs, but then there'll be a thing. So just sit down and let's have this chat. And not even in the you're wrong way, just in the let's look at this. How can we work together way? How can we see that no matter where you are on the spectrum, we're all coming at this, we want the same goal. How can we get there? I don't want our SCA climate to be like our political climate. That is a garbage dumpster fire, and I would take my toys and I would go home. But I would rather be able to use that power and do something good with it. And I'm not saying others don't, but that's something that I see it could be there. Also, I'll be fully honest, I look cute in silver, and I want I want a title. That'd be cool too. So like, it's not purely altruistic, but it's also stupid and romantic and be sweet. And like, it's coming up on our 5-year wedding anniversary, and I'm like, oh, he can make me princess for our anniversary. That's freaking adorable. Like, yeah. And even silly things, like I want one of my scrolls to have an alicorn, because in My Little Pony you become an alicorn when you're a princess, and I'm just saying that's kind of it. That would, yeah. So there's highfalutin like moral plans, and then there's just silly things like unicorns, and both are great. So
Yeah, because play is important too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't stigmatize having goals in the group, because you don't want to win and then have no idea what you're doing. That's not a good system. And I feel like making people feel bad that they want something is ridiculous. We shouldn't shame people for wanting it. We shouldn't shame them for being sad when they don't get it. We're humans, we have feelings. Like it's disappointing to not win, period. It is. And that we shouldn't make you feel bad that you have human emotion. Oh, I have a soapbox. I might just bring a box that says soapbox when I'm having these talks, but I think it matters that we need to.
So, through your mundane education, are you learning like the best ways to have conversations, like your altruistic goal,
Yeah.
where it's non-accusatory? And because I think that is something that the Knights Council could really use a lesson on. As I'm 100% here. I really think that we as a council could use a lesson in how to talk to each other in a non-accusatory way, because I think we're really bad at it. I think anytime we ever tell each other something, um, it's like we're blaming, or we're saying you're a bad person or whatever, and that's totally not the case. And I just think, how much more could we do as a council if we knew how to talk to each other and just sort of see each other's point of view in a non-confrontational way. So if I ever win, I might have you come teach the Knights a class if you're willing.
I would love to, because that's in my like goals of things I'm like writing in the back burner, and these are not officially sanctioned or anything, but I've had these discussions with people about how honest direct language, which honestly sometimes just calling like so and so as being an asshole is less hurtful than saying so and so and then you actually describe the actions they're doing, which are more accurate but sound worse almost. But that's what I was talking about earlier with the boundary thing. Like, we need to talk about healthy boundaries. We need to talk about healthy expectations. And one pet project of mine is working on how we can, as people in the group, react to things like, oh, if someone comes to you as another fighter and like, hey, I was like, someone sexually harassed me on the field, how do you respond to that? And like, when Luciana was Earl Marshal, we talked about this. I was like, what do people do? Because you'll like, the marshal is the nearest authority figure. How do you respond? And a situation like that came up, and he dealt with it, and he listened to me, because woot, listening. And the person wasn't comfortable talking to him, so he sent them to a woman, and she talked to her, and that's the thing. Like, I even His Majesty Christian and I had this talk of like, if someone comes to me with this, how do I respond? And it's that big thing of like, something bad happened, but it's about the person you're talking to. It's about them. It's their feelings. It's not, I'll go bust his head open. That doesn't help anybody, and that'll probably just put them into panic. And it's so talking about how do you respond in these ways that aren't accusatory. They're not heightening the emotional situation, but you're not ignoring the emotion either. You need to, and that like their vulnerability, I think, could be really hard with the Knights because of the how do I say nice words? There's a macho-ness around that too, and vulnerability is difficult, but there can be ways of saying like, hey, I have found, like, I've been to a baronial council that felt like Thanksgiving dinner, like the same fight every year. You go into council, it's the same fight. We're having the same fight with the same people. And even though it's been a year and we were great every other time, we get into this context. And there's lots of studies on this where like, you'll go home to your parents' house, and you get to your parents' house and you act the way you did when you were kids. And we get in these roles. So we go back to that like 19-year-old you, new in the SCA, that's still how you act around those people. And it's not healthy because we get into these cycles. So I do definitely think that we could work on educating them on catching those cycles and being like, we don't need to continue this. We had that fight. We already knighted that dude 12 years ago. Why are we still fighting about that dude? And like, that's still, I'm sure that still happens. I don't have privy information. I just know this from every other fandom, every other group. Like it's our Hatfield and McCoys. We have the same fights and we're going to keep them, and we don't need to keep doing that. So I just have to say that I am on the if you win that would be amazing bandwagon myself, but that's just, there's all those people where you're like, we're gonna do it. Like every time Matthias is in there, I wear the brooch he made, and I'm always like, Matthias brooch for luck, and I was really gonna wear it, but it's just so hot in here. I should not have put the fur on the chair. I was trying to make it look bougie, but all it is a very sweaty back. Yeah, it's a mess in here.
So I know that Genevieve has been teaching bystander training, and is about to is talking about doing a training the trainers thing. How would that apply to Rifkin's Night Council thing?
So I'm not nearly as educated as Genevieve, full stop. But I think that there's egos involved. So sometimes you can't have that public conversation. Like I had one time, I can talk about this because he's cool with it. Like Bane said something that like hurt my feelings real bad. And I was like, you don't understand how messed up what you just said was. And he and I had that heart to heart. Like I cried, he was real uncomfortable. I cried some more, then I was uncomfortable. It was a whole thing. But he later, like years later, he's like, I stopped doing that thing because you made me realize how that affected other people. I never knew how this came off to others. And it's emotional labor on my behalf. But in the end, like, I love that guy. So I'm willing to put out that labor for him. But also, like, he was willing to learn. So some of these things, like, I think there is it's not even just a machismo thing. Like I wouldn't want to be called out in front of my peers over some crappy behavior I'm doing. And so some of it has to be one-on-one, but I don't know too much about this, but I know sometimes you just watch their faces during a council and you're like, whatever's happening there sucks. Like it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. Their attitudes change. Like everyone leaves and it's just like, ugh. Like whatever happened, they all have that face of, oh, I tried the quick mead and it's chewy. Like they all have that face. And it's just sad because you know that like most of these people, like they either like each other, they respect each other, but whatever happens there, and it's because some of these groups have had dysfunction for so long that they've adapted to the dysfunction and that's become part of them. And it's about separating that dysfunction. And sometimes you don't even know why it happened. Like as humans, we adapt to things. Like if you have scoliosis, all of your muscles are going to adapt to that. And at a certain point, like that's not necessarily fixed, but you need to fix the adaptions because so it would probably be a slow, painful process, but it's still worth having. I think that at the end of the day, even at the worst dumpster fieriest, oh my word, like this Facebook to the ground days of the SCA, it's still worth fighting for because this is where I met everyone I love and care about. And if we can agree upon that basic, like we love this, so cool, we can agree on that and then work from there and have that compassion that these people have pain. They have so much in this. They have disappointments, they have joys, and when we can see each other as humans is where we can actually go from there. So
I love all of that. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Poor Luciano has heard many versions of this many times lately.
So I think over this past year, and Rifkin can probably speak to this as well, that I've been seeing more and more people and knights, not that knights aren't people, but you know what I'm trying to say, show a real willingness to listen and learn and make some changes. And that's really encouraging. And I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of anger, but I also have a lot of hope.
Yeah. No, it's, and just being mad at them doesn't help anyone, because then you just push them further into that place that they're already at. And um, I had to do a lot of work on reading about people who joined the KKK and then got back out of it. And if you read the stories of how they got into it, it's, I mean, yes, that's a hate group, but like most of our getting into the SCA stories are very similar. Like, I found a place where I felt loved and accepted. And that's where it starts at. So we need that love and acceptance is what draws us in. And so if we get back to that core, that's what matters. And I think most of us are seeing that because we miss each other. And even the people we fight with, we still miss. Like, there are certain people that we kind of playfully kind of not bicker with at SCA events. I still miss them. I miss getting in, fights about, I don't know whether or not I'm a good enough royalist. Answer is I'm not. But like, I miss having those fights. And there are people in my barony that we lost over the last year, and it breaks my heart because I still have an unsent email to one of them because I knew she was going to fight with me about where her stuff was at an event, and I already had the email written of, I love you, I respect your opinions, we cannot put you there, and here's why. And I never sent it because, and it's like a lovingly, it's just such a weird one where I'm like, this was a fight I was going to have with you, but it wasn't out of anger, it was just, and it wasn't even really a fight, it was just a disagreement. But I'm like, I'm so sad we didn't get to have that fight. I'm like, oh, we'll never get to have that fight again. And I've had that fight with you for 6 years running. Like, but yeah, no, I think we miss each other. And instead of being able to be honest and open about that, we're kind of just being snipey buttholes. I don't get why. And so, but that's vulnerable, and vulnerable's hard. Vulnerable's scary. And yeah.
Awkward silence.
No, I'm just really, really warm. So I'm fanning myself because like this whole fur thing was such a great idea in theory.
Throw it
Ew.
off. Get that thing
I
off that chair.
Yeah, it's
There
just
we
gonna
go.
be like my ugly red chair. Oh wow, you're right. I just went down like 12 degrees.
Weather this month has been really weird.
Yes. Yeah.
I am freezing because I'm sitting next to the air conditioning, and I don't know why, but it makes it freezing down here.
Oh.
That's why I put my head thing on, because I'm cold. Anyway, well, thank you for being so open about all of that. I think that these are all really important discussions to have, and I know people are willing to do the work, but I know also that we're not all sure how to do that work, and we're not all sure how to move forward right now. And I think that if there was a plan, a lot of us would just follow it because that would be a lot easier than trying to figure out what the heck we're supposed to do now.
Yeah.
So,
And humans on the whole don't like change. So we don't, and because change is scary and it's different, but some changes need to happen, but it's not, I always feel like Professor Umbridge when I say that. I'm like, changes, but like it's important. Like, some changes need to happen, but as a whole, the essence of what we are needs to be held, because it's boiled down, it's beautiful.
yeah, agreed. And we all have put a lot of our life's energy into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, do we have any other questions?
No, I'm not gonna pick anymore.
You can.
You can. I am a mostly open book.
I just want you to know that you radiate beauty from like the inside of yourself. Like, you're beautiful on the outside, but you're just such a beautiful person, and I just really appreciate that about you.
Same.
That's a very weird face to make.
You don't have to answer it. I just
No, I was like, I have no response. I'm wearing waterproof mascara, and we'll see how well that works. But I think
So this loops back around to
yes,
Rifkin being nicer to herself. Just smile and say thank you, and let it
yes.
wash over you.
No, I actually chose this outfit inspired by watching Rifkin's current looks that you've been wearing for your interviews. I think that it's been lovely.
I am really enjoying the ancient clothing. I'm gonna have to do more of it.
Yay, ancient! I love it.
Yeah, and there's so much you can like not bedazzle, but period bedazzle. There is so much zhuzh you can add to this. Where you're like,
stairs. I bedazzle the coat I just finished.
oh yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, that is.
It's about 300 bedazzles with the bedazzler machine. So
Wow.
Oh, really?
legit bedazzling. Okay. A lot of them are sewn on too, but there's about 300 tiny little nail hands that I have to like put in by hand, and then I use the machine to. So
Awesome.
Yep.
So bedazzlers are Laurel approved. I'm just gonna keep that in my brain.
I use one, and anyone who has a problem with that can.
It's a tool to get it done, because sometimes some of the things they did in period, you're like, I refuse to do that. Like time wise, effort wise, you're like, it would take me so much more time to buy the thing, to do the thing, to make the thing, and then it still doesn't do it well. So you're like,
Yeah.
Technology's magical. Just saying.
For sure. So speaking of secrets,
Ooh.
what do we have coming up on Sunday?
On Sunday, on Leveling Up, Ishaxi herself will be teaching us all the secrets of applique.
Ooh.
So everyone should tune into that. Ishaxi is really, really, really good at cut work and applique, and just all the tips and tricks to make it easier for you.
And it's kind of funny because my methods are kind of old school, and I think that the stuff that I do, you could use a cry cut machine. So, or Cricut, or however the hell you pronounce that. And I'm so stuck in my ways that I will never want to progress to that technology, but legit, if somebody wants to do that, I think it's awesome.
And maybe I'll have someone on to teach us how to do that too.
That would be super cool. I would love to see that process.
Yeah.
So then Monday, we have Grace Under Pressure with Viscountess Una from the West. And then Tuesday, Branch of Laurels with Eloise from Artemisia. It looks like it's Heloise, and I think it's Heloise. And then we were talking about Genevieve, and we will have her on the Sisters interview on Wednesday. So it's a very full week. And then the weekend after that is Athenaeum. And both of us are doing that embellishment thing too with the Lion's Den that Sunday, right?
Yeah, and I'm having Tiernan on to do kit profiles, so it'll be very busy Sunday for me. But
wow.
you guys shall tune in. It'll be fun. But thank you so much, Tessina, for coming on and talking to us. You kind of dodged a little bit of you, and we talked about issues, which is totally cool because I love talking about issues, and that just means that I'm gonna have to chase you down at an event and have a non-alcoholic beverage with you because I don't drink very much, and hang out.
Yeah. Okay. Same. I would love to get to know you even more. It's been an absolute privilege. God, I can't talk. To hang out with you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us. So we'll see you next time.
Good night, everyone.